Hi everyone, Happy New Year. Welcome to the Shack. This is a cautionary tale for those of us that never seem to find the time to take notice of the condition of the antennas that we're using, or at least monitor them on an irregular basis. And I'm recording this because something weird happened to me yesterday afternoon. So Harwell Amateur Radio Society have a weekly sked on a Wednesday afternoon for about 45 minutes. And on that sked yesterday, there was something odd going on with my signal reports that I was receiving. So there's a guy, Roger, G0AOZ, who lives a few miles away from me. And we start on 40 meters, 7.150 megahertz. And on 40 meters, my signal was a bit weaker than usual. But my signal strength with everyone else on the sked was about the same as usual. We then QS-wide to 80 meters, 3.710 megahertz. And where I would normally be +5 or +10, I was 5 and 7, 5 and 8 with Roger. But the same or similar with everyone else. So obviously Roger pointed this out to me, and I sort of told him that nothing had changed my end. I'm not the sort of person that measures puts an analyzer on my antenna and checks the VSWR on every band, any band, before I start a sked. I use the auto matching on the Kenwood TS990, and I know that the SWR on 80 isn't quite as good a match as it is on top band and 40, because you do see the SWR meter it flickers a little bit when I'm transmitting, whereas it doesn't do that on the other bands. And those of you, or a lot of you, will know that I used to use a G5, full-size G5 RV, but I built this kind of wideband end-fed arrangement that isn't a perfect match on any of the exact frequencies I use, but is a good match on top band and 40, and an okay match on 80 meters. So anyway, I didn't really think much more of it, but Roger was adamant that my signal was at least a couple of S points down from usual. My reports from everyone else was the same. So anyway, after the sked yesterday, I actually started transmitting on FT8 on 2 meters, because someone else on the sked monitors FT8 signals on 2 meters. I did that, and then I thought, oh, do you know what? I'll get my analyzer and put it on my antenna. So I did that, got my analyzer, put it on my antenna, and my SWR on 80 meters was 7.5 to 1. Absolutely horrendous. I mean, just goes to show how well the auto matching system in the Kenwood works. So I knew something was wrong. So I went outside and started sort of poking around, couldn't really see anything obvious. And then I got the binoculars out and started looking at the wire that comes over the roof of the house, and I noticed some sort of chafing on the insulation, and I cut one of the supporting poles down, and basically my wire, through friction against the edge of the roof tiles, had worn away at the insulation, and had actually worn away through the actual wire itself at this point here. And you can see the evidence of I might need to touch my screen to focus. Evidence of insulation having been worn away in several places here, where the supporting pole, which is fiberglass, telescopic fiberglass, doesn't move except when it's windy. And when it's windy, obviously they flex a lot. And although the wire in its rest position is above the roof of the house, in high wind they flex, and the wire can come in contact with the roof, and that's what's obviously been happening. So electrically, my antenna was about 25 meters shorter than usual, having broken. It was still in one piece, but only being held together by the insulation at that point. So, and I had no idea that it was happening. Yesterday was the first time I'd received any sort of poor signal reports, or at least anything out of the ordinary. And it just goes to show that, so I'm presumably, in the last week or so, when we had the really bad winds, what was already a damaged piece of wire actually eventually broke, and which then increased the VSWR up to 7.5 to 1 on 80 meters. So this afternoon I've repaired it, put it all back together, and my SWR is now back to normal. So and I've just worked a station on 40 and 80 meters, well, 2 stations, just to prove that everything is working okay again. So there you go. So I know it's difficult. I mean, my eyesight isn't the best. I wear reading glasses, and it's impossible to see any sort of detailed damage on a wire when it's 12 meters above the ground. So I've got a pair of 20 by 50 binoculars, which makes it much easier. So yeah, this, as I said, this is a cautionary tale for those of you that, like me, are either too lazy or just don't have the time to just maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks, just get the binoculars out, or if you've got a tower, you know, that you can wind down, take the time to check the condition of your wire, because the chances are it'll be in much worse condition than you imagine, which is what happened to me. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. As I said, all is good now, and I'm looking forward to working some more stations in the new year. I'm still splitting my time 50-50 between sort of DXing on receive and amateur radio, but I do try to find the time to join the Harwell ARS skeds. Some weeks that's the only time I get to do any amateur radio at all, so I prefer to do it with everything working well. Anyway, thanks for watching 73.